Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're doing a forensic breakdown of one of the absolute most baffling maritime collisions in recent history. We're going to examine how a complete obsession with aerodynamic efficiency actually ended up compromising the most fundamental tool a navigator has, their own vision. Take a second to process the massive, gaping hole in the hull of the car carrier, City of Rotterdam. I mean, the sheer destructive force here is just incredible. This was the result of a devastating crash on the UK's River Humber back in 2015, when this massive vessel violently collided with the inbound ferry, Primula Seaways. It's a genuinely jarring image of twisted steel, right? And it prompts an immediate, perplexing question. How exactly does a highly qualified, highly experienced pilot steer a modern vessel straight into oncoming traffic? The bridge teams on both ships, along with the Vessel Traffic Service, or VTS, operators monitoring the channel, they were all appropriately qualified. They were all highly experienced. Yet somehow the entire system failed catastrophically. Section 1, the Humber River collision. So let's dive right into this and reconstruct the final critical minutes leading up to the disaster. Listen to how these VHF radio exchanges just escalate. At 2038, the two ships are less than a single nautical mile apart. And by 2040, the situation becomes absolutely critical. The second officer on the Primula Seaways transmits this really desperate message.
We count too much now, we're coming hard as starboard, but I think we're going to collide, yep.
The VTS watch manager urgently calls out, City of Rotterdam VTS, did you receive? And the chilling response from the City of Rotterdam? Absolute silence. They didn't reply at all. Now, when you plot this on a navigation chart, it reveals a completely fatal trajectory. The City of Rotterdam was outbound, sure, but it was set to the northern side of the channel, literally right into the path of the inbound ferry. The master of the City of Rotterdam finally realized the impending doom, suddenly shouting, "Go to starboard, midships, and hard to port." But that order? It came at 20:40 and 23 seconds. Just 14 seconds later, the two massive ships collided port bow to port bow on headings of 288 degrees and 163 degrees. 14 seconds. That is practically zero reaction time for vessels of this massive scale. Section 2, the semicircular bridge. Okay, so to understand why this actually happened, we need to transition our investigation away from the timeline and focus strictly on the ship's architecture. Notice the profoundly unconventional exterior of the City of Rotterdam. This is what's called the SSS-BOW design. It was created by Koyo Shipbuilding purely for aerodynamic wind efficiency, to reduce air resistance above the waterline. But look closely at those windows. Standard Solace Maritime regulations? They expect forward bridge windows to slope top out, usually at an angle between 10 and 25 degrees, just to minimize reflections. The City of Rotterdam did the exact opposite. Its windows sloped top in. And even worse, this hemispherical shape completely removed any natural physical alignment cues from the lower field of vision. There was no bow tip, no forecast align, absolutely no forward mast to anchor the navigator's eye. The crucial part of this whole puzzle is how this played out inside the bridge. During those absolutely critical minutes right before the crash, the pilot was communicating using the VHF radio, which was located over on the starboard side. Using that radio physically pulled the pilot away from the vessel's centerline. So as he spoke on the radio, he was looking out into the pitch-black darkness through a window positioned roughly 33 degrees off the ship's center axis. Section 3. Relative motion illusion. This specific, highly unusual architectural layout basically laid the groundwork for a massive cognitive failure, a phenomenon that ultimately sealed the ship's fate. That failure is a cognitive trap known as relative motion illusion. It's this incredibly powerful psychological effect that deceives a viewer into thinking their observed view is their actual direction of travel. Because it was dark outside, and the severe inward slope of the window totally eliminated all peripheral objects and visual clues, the pilot completely lost his spatial orientation relative to the ship. Now, simulations created by the UK's Marine Accident Investigation Branch brilliantly and honestly kind of terrifyingly illustrate the consequence of that illusion. When the pilot looked out of that off-axis window over the VHF radio, his brain perceived that the ship was heading 138 degrees toward the bull anchorage. He genuinely believed he was safely maneuvering the vessel to the south, away from the danger. But in reality, the ship's true heading was 105 degrees. The ship was actually pointing 33 degrees further north than his brain was telling him, keeping him locked on a direct collision course. There's an absolutely excellent analysis by Captain Raghu Sharma in the DeepDraft that clarifies exactly why this scenario is so incredibly dangerous. It really comes down to distinguishing between two very different things: visibility and visual reference. Visibility simply asks, can the officer see out? And yes, obviously the glass was transparent. But visual reference asks, can the officer correctly interpret what they see? In restricted waters, if the geometry of the window corrupts your immediate visual frame of reference, your judgment is entirely compromised before you even make a decision. But you know what makes this investigation so chilling? It wasn't just one pilot making a careless mistake. During the MAIB investigation, they actually placed other highly experienced Humber pilots into the exact same simulated off-axis view. And guess what? Every single one of them accepted the false picture. When they realized the vessel's movement looked wrong, they didn't question the direction they were facing. No, they attributed the discrepancy to significant tidal set or wind drift. As the DeepDraft perfectly summarized it, the brain blamed the sea before it ever blamed the architecture. Of course, the illusion itself was the spark, but systemic bridge resource management failures really allowed the fire to spread. The City of Rotterdam's master and third officer completely failed to challenge the pilot, displaying a really dangerous over-reliance on him. And the VTS operators ashore, they noticed the ship was too far north, but their interventions just weren't robust enough to snap the pilot out of his illusion. The entire safety net essentially collapsed, leaving the master to intervene a completely futile 14 seconds before impact. Section 4, the rule gap. And that brings us to a really glaring question, doesn't it? If this architectural design is scientifically proven to cause such a powerful optical illusion, how on earth was it legally permitted to be built and operated in the first place? Well, take the Natori, for example. It's another ship built by the exact same shipyard, Kyokuyo, featuring the exact same hemispherical SSS-BOW design. But check out those bridge windows. They slope outward, complying perfectly with SOLAS regulations. Why? Simply because the Japanese Flag Administration intervened and actively forced the shipyard to use a safe, compliant window arrangement. This proves definitively that the aerodynamic bow design absolutely could have been utilized safely without compromising the navigator's visual reference. So, the City of Rotterdam basically slipped through a massive regulatory loophole. The International Association of Classification Societies, or IASS, provides Recommendation 95, which outlines guidance on bridge ergonomics. But, and this is crucial, it remains strictly non-binding. This freedom of interpretation means innovative, radically shaped ships can be approved on paper without ever undergoing mandatory human factors testing from the navigator's actual working position. Section 5. The cost of efficiency. We need to turn our attention to the ongoing, evolving threat this poses to the maritime industry today. Because the City of Rotterdam might just be one ship, but the philosophy that built it, that is expanding rapidly. As the shipping industry is just racing to decarbonize right now, we're seeing a massive surge in vessels fitted with wind-assist rotor systems, compact superstructures, and forward accommodation blocks. Notice how these massive vertical rotors heavily obstruct the watchkeeper's forward sightline. Now, these changes make tremendous sense on a spreadsheet tracking fuel efficiency. But the bridge is where that theoretical efficiency violently collides with operational reality. If we continue to alter sightlines and visual references without ever testing them from the navigator's actual working position, we are quite literally engineering future disasters. I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought from Captain Raghu Sharma. There is no efficiency in a collision, right? A ship only earns her fuel savings if she can actually be safely navigated to the berth. When we prioritize aerodynamic spreadsheets over the integrity of human visual reference, we don't just risk bending steel, we genuinely risk losing lives. So the next time you see an industry blindly chasing efficiency, ask yourself, what human factors are quietly being sacrificed to achieve it? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.